Hi, everyone.
Welcome back, everyone.
I wasn't feeling good about this one until I drove by Clubhouse and someone had changed the sign to just say boner on the thing, and I was like, this is gonna be a good day. This will be all right.
To be alive if you can't do that.
Love it.
Well, I'm excited here. We got the OG of Strongman. And by OG, I mean old geriatric. Chris McDole.
Devin spent all week studying. What
Looking up what
2 days just to pronounce
what
it.
can OG stand
It's
for?
gonna be like between two ferns or between two ferns for him. He's gonna sit here and just be like,
Between two mouth breathers.
I feel, yeah, this is, I don't know what kind of chair you guys got me on, but
I'm gonna lord over you this whole
holy
podcast.
shit, yep. There's a lot of body heat back here.
So it's been two weeks. What's been popping in the last 2 weeks for you boys?
Deadlifts for Dream stuff for me.
Oh yeah, okay.
My hips.
It's world. Has you guys been following World's Strongest Man at all?
Yeah,
right now?
Mitchell Hooper should take the win any minute now.
Yeah, the first Canadian to ever win World's Strongest Man.
Wow.
It was 5.5
Too bad
points
that
up.
it's him, but you know, whatever. It would have been a lot cooler if it was Max, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, 5.5 points up.
Still
right
cool,
now.
though. Like,
Yeah, it's great. He's just a guy. He's sort of divisive. He's sort of like a he's like a new era of strongman where he's really really good at it and doesn't really give a fuck about it, which is going to be probably become more common now that it's become a more popular sport. Where it's like he says it all the time. He's like, strongman is my catalyst to my next thing. Like he's like athletic therapist or something, but that's like this is a means of getting business to his athletic therapy thing, which like rubs a lot of people the wrong way, especially in the sport where it's guys that are like, the only reason that you ever got involved with the sport before was like a passion project because you love to do it.
Yeah.
So now to have somebody else be like, well, I don't really care, I'm here to make some money and get out of here. It's like, oh, that sounds really fucked up at first blush, but I mean, it's
And
gonna
a guy
it's gonna
that's
be the new normal
gifted.
now. Yeah, he's so good that you want
Yeah.
to believe that everybody who's that good dedicates their entire fucking life to this thing.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, no, you can just come in and be really talented, and then you can make your way out and be the world's strongest man for a year, and then maybe he's not even here 5 years from now. You know?
world's strongest physio.
Yeah, like, that's definitely somebody's Instagram handle right now.
For sure. It's definitely out there.
Guaranteed.
But yeah, it's a weird, like, for all the Canadian guys who didn't win it, it's weird that this is like, you know, the Hugo Girards and the JF Carons and Maxes and stuff. It's just like
John Wade.
John Wade's, the Dom Leontises. There's so many guys
gonna
that
take
could have
offense to
been the
that.
first.
Someone's going to get an Instagram message for that one.
So what's been going on with Deadlift for Dreams?
Just trying to get people signed up, trying to line up sponsors.
Yeah.
We opened it 2 months earlier this year than we typically have. Just trying to get the ball rolling a bit quicker.
Yeah.
And it's always like good response the day of, and then it slows down a little bit, and then we start putting the emails out to, fundraising, coaching, and reminders, and it goes in waves.
Yeah.
But it's good. We got a good start. We have a 7-year-old competing this year.
Wow.
Very
shit.
excited about that.
From Winnipeg here?
7 to 70 over here.
Holy shit, yeah. I didn't know McDole had grandkids.
You haven't said anything in a while. I have to fucking pull you in some way.
I'm just waiting. It's okay. All right.
I'm just waiting for a good old
I like
backhand.
Tyler. I like Tyler. Unlike you two fucking guys. So
Why you put me next to him?
yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Well, let's open up with a question maybe or something so we can get the ball rolling a little bit, and then we'll see.
I got a couple different ones. You know what? I got one that'll really...
What if we let our guest talk for a minute?
Fuck. Well.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. No,
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's get into that a little
We
bit.
should do an
right?
introduction on who we got here anyways.
So we have Christopher McDole.
Most hated guy.
Yeah, the previous owner of McDole's Gym, or co-owner along with our,
McDole Performance Systems, then McDole's Gym.
and then
Midtown.
Midtown
McDole
Barbell,
Performance Systems, McDole Performance, McDole's Gym.
McDole's Poor Performance.
That's the name of a sex tape.
Okay, hold
then
on.
Midtown
Actually,
Barbell.
bringing that up. There's something
Sex
there's something that I was waiting for the right time to bring up, and
This is sex tape?
We're here already.
it's not a sex tape, but okay. So very early on, when I was getting involved at McDole's and kind of moving from like peripheral to kind of like the inner circle of guys
Yeah.
there and stuff, Dom showed me this clip. Do you know what I'm about to say?
I have no idea where
I
waiting.
don't.
Do you know?
I think through trauma, I've like erased half of the memories between 2012 to 2017.
It was a very graphic clip. So it was a clip of this guy who looked just like McDole getting jerked off.
Oh
on
yeah.
by-
He was stuck
by
on
no
this.
less than 3 guys.
Yeah, he was stuck on this.
But the weirdest, this is the weird part about that though, is that you are not a celebrity. So who found this clip?
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
did.
Dom stumbled
Dom just
across.
happened to find this clip. That was the weird part
Yeah.
about it because
Are
it's
you
like
getting jerked off by 3 dudes?
no, it's them jerking off on his face.
I don't even think it was that. I'm losing
was that?
my job
Oh, it was
for
that.
sure.
I remember the
I
video.
don't even think it. I don't even remember. But I do remember he would just intermittently. It would just be like Sunday at 9:00, and I would be like watching TV or something, and then it would just be this GIF of the situation because he was just so happy with himself that this guy, this bald guy with a beard that somehow looked like me. Was like it was whatever.
It was
and you're
eerie,
just like
though.
It's not like
eerie.
yeah.
it did look a lot like you. But it's not like it was like Jim Carrey,
Flattered.
where it's like it was floating around the internet for a long time, and someone's like, "Oh, look, it's this thing that looks
No.
like Jim Carrey."
So
it was
he-
it was too specific. Like
yeah,
somebody
he-
had to have been watching this porn and been like,
So
"Oh,
he for
I'm
sure-
gonna come, and then I'm gonna show McDole that this looks like him."
You could draw the line that he refined that Google search a couple times, like
Well, who
bald
has-
guy in whatever gay
Getting
orgy
facial-
and with bald. Oh, now it needs to have a beard. Looks like Viking, this type of thing. And just
Dom
kept
was using
adding-
AI before we even knew what it was.
I've never heard that.
Which, if you want to talk about AI, if you're talking about that, we should talk about some of the history of some of the things that were invented at the gym that just.
Are we talking
became famous.
artificial insemination or
No.
intelligence? I'm from the south,
Some
man.
of the things that became that are technologies that became famous that were started actually at
Technologies?
Our gym. Yeah, like Snapchat from our boy.
Oh,
Junior.
like just the stuff that we.
If you want to get on the topic of pictures, we had this guy that would work for that worked for us for a while. Super good guy. He would fill in like kind of Tuesdays and Thursdays in the mornings and everything else. We can just say his name, can we not? Can we not say Junior's name? We'll just call him Junior. Yeah. Okay. Just in case you want. Anyways, Junior was a good buddy of mine.
He's made it somewhere.
Yeah. So he would always send. He would always like say like, "Hey, can I come use the gym?" We weren't open like 24/7 or anything like that. So he'd always say, "Can I come use the gym or whatever?" But we'd say, "Sure." So this one day he sent me this picture, and all it was just his thumb, like this against this blackboard. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And it
We
just
used
had
that forever.
Yeah, because then we would just send this gym photo around. Anyways, this thumb comes up. Hey, can I come train? And I was like, yeah. Then the thumb would come back again and be like, okay, sweet, I'll be there at 9:00. I was like, all right, like, are you bringing anybody else? Then the thumb would come like a third time and he'd answer. And I was like, what the fuck are you sending me this picture? Just for reference sake, it matters. It's this big black hand with this like thumb like this. And I was like, what the fuck? And he was like, oh, well, this is, I've got limited data on my phone. So if I send this message, it gets erased. Then my girlfriend can't figure out where I'm going. So years later, we're like, he invented Snapchat.
Yeah.
So we kept that thumb
never heard
that
of that.
was sent to everybody that would. So we just kept Junior's thumb. It was just like there. So that picture that Dom's talking about, he would send that. We've had so many images that were just like continually look at the history of the gym. Like that was what was sent.
Chris would be
I
like
have
there in
lots
half
of
an
Dom.
hour. I would just send the thumb. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very early game that he was
Early.
putting you guys on.
Like
with that.
we're talking 2006 or
Wow.
something, like a flip phone thumb. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, so there's a whole bunch. You could probably do a whole podcast of images and dumb games and things like that got sent through phone that were like eventually became technologies. For sure. So Snapchat was invented at our gym.
I guess.
We didn't have a Shark Tank there, so we didn't know.
Yes,
but-
that makes sense.
That's
able
up
to
there
get
with
enough funding.
one night when Justin and I were going to Solid Gold, and we're driving there. I had to pick him up the other end of town, and he's like, "We gotta go downtown real quick." I'm like, "Oh, whatever. Like it's on the way." He's like, go here," and we stop at a bar. He's like, "I'll be 2 minutes," and he runs into like this sports bar, and pulls out cash. I didn't find this out till after, but he runs in, comes back out, and I'm like, "Well, I'm sure they have an ATM there." He's like, "Yeah, but I have a shared account with my girl, and she'll think this is where we were all night."
Yeah.
That's funny. McDole's used to have like a pretty like strong connection to strip clubs for a while.
Yeah, we
Like,
can-
like
Yeah.
the old gym. Not McDole the person. McDole's like the facility.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
one of the local strip club owners like came to the gym for a while, like her daughter trained there or something.
Yeah.
And then we did a strongman competition in the strip club parking lot.
Yeah.
Yes. And me and Dom worked there for one night each. Or he worked there a little longer, I think. I worked there for one night.
I never worked there technically.
No, I worked there. I bounced there.
Yeah.
I was dancing there for a little while.
You
And
were
then
dancing
I started bouncing.
Yeah.
But me and Dom we bounced there one night. The money was not good enough for getting stabbed, and I was like, I'm fucking out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Literally, the first night was, you guys were actually there. There was a bunch of like gangster guys there. We won't say which gang, but they. I walked over and like I was aware who they were, so I walked over and I was like, "Hey guys," like extra friendly. I was like, "Night's over. Whenever you guys are ready, time to go." And the guy looks up at me. He's just like, "Fuck you," and I was like, "Okay." Like they're gonna stay and I'm gonna leave, so it doesn't really matter to me anymore. Like I went and talked to the owner and I was like, "They're not gonna go anywhere, but I'm gonna leave because I'm not staying around for this." And then
This is awesome. We're going to Quentin Tarantino this because I have another camera angle at this night as well. So we'll let you talk.
Well, for all it was, the only thing that I really remember about it was a really cool moment where one of their big guys was like clashing with Dom, who was our big guy. And the guy was like, I'm going to fucking run through you. And Dom's like, no, you're not. And they just fucking like met in the middle. And Dom
King Kong and Godzilla.
Yeah, like nothing, and nothing came of it except for at the end, we had to be snuck out the back door because they're all waiting to stab us out front. And I was like, this is not worth it anymore to me. No. So that's when I decided to stop working there.
No, that unnecessarily got escalated. But a turning point in my lifetime where I was like, we got to make a change here.
Was that the night with?
That was the night. That was for sure the same. That was for sure the same night.
That was when we were judging a contest.
No, not that one.
Was that a different night?
No, that was different and whatever. But yeah, so the tail end of that was that whoever they were, whatever, patrons, who cares?
Patriots?
Not patrons, patrons, whatever, who cares? And then just the situation of just being like, sure, do 100 shots right at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Like at 2:01 a.m. You know what I mean? Like what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
And then we just happened to bump into them, and it was just one of those things. It was like, and honestly, like I said, not to like take a downer on this podcast in the first 11 minutes, but it was a life-changing thing because we can talk. I thought we'd talk about this a little bit, but there were so many characters that came to the gym. Again, we're not mentioning any specific names, but it became that type of place, or a lot of gyms do become that type of place, and it just attracts that because physical fitness and staying in shape and independence.
And also, we were a little more hardline than other places.
For sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Had a little more of an edge to it than some of the other gyms. You know?
For sure. And then I think that's interesting because I said that was a turning point where you're like, oh my gosh, this is just something that you can't, outside of this, like you can't get involved in for sure. But
it seemed really cool at the time. I'll tell you that right now. Like for me as being like a 21-year-old guy who was at this gym with like these sketchy guys around, I was like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
This is where I want to train. You know?
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
But I can understand that might be
As a business
well,
owner.
I
as a
actually
business owner, it might not be
it's a
ideal.
little bit.
I don't want to stray too far from the JP stuff because those are great stories in and of itself.
Yeah.
But that was one of the original questions so I worked at a place. This was Devin, you were probably how old? 9, so you had your first kid by then. That's normal for St. Malo. Okay, so yeah, graduate. Come on now, there's no high school. Where
You still haven't graduated.
You were graduating. I wasn't graduating.
So, anyways, I was working at a place originally in the city. So this would have been like in 2000, 2002, and the same type of crowd came through the door, like the same guys originally, and I was just like young kid training.
2002, I wasn't grade 9.
Yeah, there you go. You were married by then, right? Yeah.
I legit wasn't grade 9.
So, but I had asked that question. I remember going to with like a gym out in Montreal and asking that specific question. So there was again, it was. I think you guys were talking about. I think you and I were chatting about if someone misses a bench, you're like, don't worry about it, you'll get it next time. And I was like, we could probably talk about this. That there may not be a next time, which we'll get to in a second. But there was legitimate hitmen that were at this gym in Montreal.
Really?
And I had no clue who they were, but I don't know any association or anything. Right. But so I had asked that question, like, what attracts, like, what am I in for when I open a gym in Winnipeg? Like, who's going to come through the door? And they're like, yeah, they've got disposable income. They like lifting. They're always very respectful. So it's a customer that you kind of have a hard time saying no to because it's
You're
not
a
like
small business. You're way
it's a small business, and as they're wandering through society, it's a civil rights violation to say like, no, you can't train here. Like you couldn't deny anybody else on any other means, right? So, but I had asked that mentor of mine. He said it's a good crowd to have, and a good guys to have on your side, because they were always all of them were always super polite, super good. Again, no affiliation with anything like that, but always good dudes at the end of the day, and always brought tons. Yeah, they were always very helpful.
Yeah.
It was almost like this big conundrum of why they couldn't, and so smart too, and why they couldn't get along in society. And then it was like, I would listen to some of these things and I'm like, dude, you're like fucking super smart. They're like, I don't know. And then they just walk away and you're like, this is just misguided. It's almost this determination to not fit in to society. Right. I'm just determined to not do this.
Probably something to that. I would
Yeah,
say.
for sure. And it was just like, they're always the most pleasant, polite, nice guys. Referrals like crazy. Yeah.
And
It's
the
just
referrals they bring are loyal people.
loyal people,
Like,
for sure.
Who pay for your advance.
Yeah.
They pay for
And then so it was always very interesting for sure. But yeah, you have to walk a really fine line there for sure, because they're like, yeah, come to my house, and you're like, nah, I don't know,
That's
should
always
I?
the thing, yeah, when you kind of exit the gym realm, and now you're like, ooh, are we friends like outside of the gym now? You know?
Yeah.
Like, this is changing the pace of things a little
Right,
bit.
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Me and Gianna actually went to a strip club a couple weeks ago, just on a whim. She just wanted to go, and I don't remember which one it was, but we were sitting there, and it was like waiting for the dancer to go on stage, and I kind of like, we never fucking go to these. Like, it was just she wanted to, and I looked around and I was like, man, I don't want to see any of these fucking girls naked. And we just left. We just got up and we left. I was like, and I asked her, I was like, do you? And she's like, not really. And I was like, what are we doing here then? Like, this is the whole point of this place. And then we went to a different one. We were just doing the world tour. We were fucking horny. No, I'm just kidding. We just really wanted to go see.
It's like sitting down at a restaurant. I don't like this menu. We're gonna go.
That's exactly what we did. So we went to a different one, and there's a dancer. I'm like, oh yeah, like this one's at least like. And this is how you know I'm like too big of a fucking pussy to be doing this. I'm like, yeah, she's pretty.
You're becoming domesticated.
She's good looking. You know what I mean? I was just like
Tyler being domesticated.
Yeah, and then she walked by, and I was like, oh fuck, she's like 10 years younger than me. Like immediately I just picked up on that, and I was like, I'm not creepy enough for this life. Like I like it's like these girls are like immediately I'm like, oh that's someone's daughter. I gotta get the fuck out of here. And then we just did, and that was the end. I don't think I'll go to strip clubs anymore. Honestly,
That was the turning point.
I mean, not on a Winnipeg one because they're all ugly here, but I mean, maybe go to a Toronto one or something.
There goes our two strippers. That will see us.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Show me an attractive Winnipeg.
Well, those things are important. As you guys, I always, when everyone jokes around about my age or whatever, I always just say, because I'm trying to be a nicer guy, 45. You look older than me.
I was gonna say you don't look.
Trust me.
I don't know if you heard, but one of the girls from my gym guessed him at almost 60.
No, fuck that. It was 50.
Almost 50. Sorry, almost 50.
She was dead serious. He's like, how old is Dan? Like, and she's like, what did he say? Like, mid-30s.
Yeah.
And then, what about Devin? She's at my gym. Well, how old do you think Devin is? And she's like, well, he's probably getting close to 50.
To be fair, she's a kid. She's like 21. So
Yeah, they have no reference point,
One
right?
of her questions was, well, he's married, right? To you. And I was like, yeah, but he was married when he was like 17, so it doesn't really matter. Like, it's not really.
Yeah, I've been married 15 years this year.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah,
It's
not
awesome.
bad, the old ball and chain.
Tough for Danielle, but good for you. Yeah.
Shit.
No, but like, speaking to those things are
Mental illness
important.
is real.
Yeah, those things are important. I think when you age, every guy's all joke around like, oh yeah, you're 45, and I was like, you'll get here one day and you'll see it's the same. I didn't think it was going to happen, and then you'll get to this point. So Devin, if you're blessed enough and that ticker keeps you alive.
Modern medicine's really
But but then but those turning points come up because we used to go to a local bar that we all hung out with for a while, Watering Hole, that's like pretty popular. And I remember same thing, just walking in one day and I saw you. I talked to you. I was coming in to meet Dom. I was coming in to see you, and you were working the front door. And I walked in, and I remember it like it was just yesterday. I think this is probably 8 or 9 years ago for sure. And I walked in, and I was like, this is not my fucking bar anymore. And I walked out, and I never went back.
That's really funny because
I never went back after at that time.
Pretty much right on target for time, actually. I just had that moment with the same place, too, where I went there and I was like, this place isn't fun anymore.
But there are some people that don't.
What's that?
That was last weekend.
No, I have been there since I had that moment, but I still go there and drink.
But there's some people that don't. But there's some people that don't. There are some people that never get that moment. That thing never clicked for a variety of reasons, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, we would see them all the time.
I still see them. There's people like I started bouncing there in like 2000 17, and there was like old people there who are still there
Yeah.
now, like on Saturday nights, like shutting the place down.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just remember sitting there and being like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say I can relate to these stories, but I've never even been to a strip club. So
Well,
I
you
can't
guys
really
did-
relate to
You've
this
never
stuff.
been to a strip
You
club?
have been.
Nope.
Oh, no, I guess it now is a
Nope.
strip club. You guys talked about the
Teddy Bob's.
Teddy
Yeah,
Bob's.
I've
Teddy
never.
Bob's already.
Closest I went to strip club was when we did the one at Teasers, and I walked in to use the washroom.
You actually
I
really
have
changed
never
the
stepped in a strip
trajectory.
club. Like,
A
I've
man
never-
of God. A man of God you are,
Yeah.
hey?
No,
I mean, you're not like missing anything.
No.
For women in
No.
strip clubs. Like I went to one in Toronto, and I was like, why are there hot women here? Like, what's going on? It's like, they're like, it's a strip
only
club.
thing
And
that
I was
might
like,
help
I know,
is-
they should be gross. Like, what's going on?
I'm guessing there's probably a lot of fake titties and
There's
bad
none.
boob
None in
jobs.
Winnipeg. None.
And their probably nipples are like this, and I could really correlate to that.
They're all
Devin can finally see both nipples.
I can finally focus on
they're all,
something.
they're all rail thin and addicted to drugs. And
Yeah,
it's-
no, I've never been, and I'd never planned it. No, hey, no offense to
really.
anyone that does.
You wouldn't go now?
I would never go.
What if? I'm trying to think of a scenario where you.
A life or death thing. What if Tyler was the only guy left to eat on this earth, and you had to shoot him in a strip club?
Yeah, you'd kill me.
Fucking,
inside.
here we go. Here we go.
What if? What if there was a fire and you had to save me? But they were still dancing and they were still doing the shit. And you had to
I
run
would
outside.
just, I would run in, and I'm guessing the rippers would be on the right, so I'd use my left eye, and I'd come for you.
It's fucking hot.
Tyler wins
Yeah,
CSM,
yeah.
and we go there to celebrate.
Yeah.
Whoa. Good
Oh, that's a good one.
If Tyler wins CSM
Oh, okay.
and he invites me to celebrate, I will drive the car.
Wait in the parking lot.
I've just never been. You know what? Me and the wife had an agreement that she wasn't comfortable with it. And I'm like, I don't need that anyways. So that's just,
Yeah.
it was just something that never. I was up in Montreal there a while ago. Fuck, I wrecked a couple people's trips, business trips. We go to Montreal for one. Some guys took us out there, and the guys wanted to go to Rippers. I'm like, yeah, no, have at it. But I'm going to go back to the hotel. Well, I was one of the guests that they were wining and dining, and they paid for my flights, and they paid for everything else, touring all these plants and different things, making them special. And they're like, well, we can't go without you. I'm like, well, look, I'll just go hang out at the bar by myself. No. So they ended up, I wrecked their whole night. We ended up playing foosball at a bar at midnight. I could tell they weren't happy.
In
And they went
Montreal?
down-
You're in like the strip club capital of the world,
Yeah.
Montreal, and you're
Yeah,
like,
and I'm
let's
like-
go play some football.
And then we went to Minneapolis a couple years ago. Oh, that's a whole nother story. I don't even know if I wouldn't even say it on here, but
Please don't.
yeah,
if you're holding that, if you're filtering that
man.
back,
Yeah.
that involves someone. Yeah.
No.
Anyways, and a bunch of guys too wanted to go to the Rippers, and I'm like, no, I'm going to bounce out. I'm like, there's an all-you-can-eat buffet, which is coincidence right next to close to the Ripper Club, but there was like I don't know 8 or 10 of us. I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to take off to the buffet, sit there. Once you guys are done, we'll meet up. It was whatever 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And half the guys actually ended up coming to the buffet with me. They're like, we actually don't want to go to the Rippers either. We just didn't want to say no to our buddies. I'm like, fucking, we're adults, guys. We're 30. We're 37 years old. You can't say no to your buddies. I'm like, I just don't do
no, I
strippers.
respect that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm
I
like,
do.
I just don't
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not you. I respect the guys. I respect the guys who were like, I don't want to go, but the boys are all going, so I have to go. I respect that.
Oh, yeah, no, I just
Where
don't.
it's like they do things they don't want to do for the boys.
That's just not me.
Ferda.
No, I don't mean. I'm not saying like break your religious vows or anything. But I'm just like if you don't really feel like going, but you're like, oh, everyone else is going, I'm going to go too. Like I can appreciate.
Yeah, I
that.
get that. Yep. Yeah. I get that. If you win
Hilarious.
CSM, we'll talk to the wife.
Well, this year, baby. Fuck
Oh,
Max
God.
Boudreaux. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah,
I'm
I
coming
mean,
up for number
just
one.
sabotaging opponents or what?
10th to 1st this year.
Holy shit.
Big jump.
can be done. Can be done.
Nice, reasonable expectations for myself. This
be
is gonna
done.
be fucking rough to get to CSM. It's gonna be like
Just to get there?
Just to get out.
there, dude. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of good guys
This year,
at
people
Westerns this
are
year.
coming with a fucking vengeance at Westerns.
Yeah.
So, like Tristan Hoth is a guy I mentioned before, but he tore his bicep at Westerns last year, and he's strict pressing a log like 365 for reps. You know what I mean? Like it's just like they're in like a different realm. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy what these guys can fucking do. But there's gonna be a bunch of guys who are like that who are just like itching for that CSM.
And
spot
top
this
3
year.
still Westerns, right?
Top 3 at Westerns.
What do you think, other than the training and technique and just like popularity, those things, because those are kind of like the same answers all the time. What do you think the biggest change is now and like 10 years ago?
Probably like taking the foot off the gas a little bit for a lot of the things, whether it's like training or gear, like steroids, whatever. Like people who are like more knowledgeable now, and so much of before was like in the trenches information, and now you have people actually like studying the shit, and they actually have like And even if we're using in the trenches information, I can look back on what you did,
Right.
what Provic did, what Cummins done, what Halliday's done, what all these guys have done in the past, and be like, well, this might not have worked that well, or this did work, or whatever.
Right.
And it's just like, what's the phrase, like standing on the shoulders of
Sure. Yeah,
forever,
yeah.
where it's like
Yep.
it's
Standing on the shoulders of giants.
yeah, because like I think what you're getting at is like the numbers and stuff have just exploded in the last while, where it's just like it's crazy. Like even when I started competing in 2015 or 16, like a 300 log was pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
And there's
300 log back in 2010 was
a dude in Quebec just strict pressed a 400 log twice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like the game is just changing
And he's
constantly.
and I'm not saying he's nobody, but
I
who is he?
I beat him at
Right.
CSM.
See,
you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
the
it's
crazy
just,
part.
It's just it's so nuts what some of these guys can do. But yeah, I would say like a lot of it is just like the knowledge that's been passed from guys who fucked themselves up in a lot of ways. Like Provic as an example, like he was really had a lot of injuries and really damaged
sure.
and stuff. But he's a guy where you can learn a lot from. And like from the do's and don'ts of what he was doing, and yourself included, and all those guys who were even like say like Brent Ham and stuff. These are all guys who have like a lot of experience that were just like, let's try this, let's see this. What like I
because the internet wasn't that advanced yet
No.
back when they were competing. That the
there
info
was
was
like,
that
there
prevalent.
was,
You could
there's
just
like
get
a
it.
couple sites you could use, whatever.
Yeah.
But there wasn't like a YouTube channel where it's like, here's how to build all the equipment, here's how to use all the equipment, here's how to recover, here's how to whatever. So yeah, I would. It's like crazy to see how the numbers change. Like even like,
It's awesome.
And then I think about say a guy like Dom who really solidifies even more how much more ahead of his time he was, where most of his numbers still stand today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like he was competing he was at his peak in 2017, 2018, and his deadlift is still like he had like an 820 deadlift or something like that.
Yeah, it was
you know what I mean?
ridiculous.
Like it's just like bonkers what he could do. And it's crazy to think that if he was doing that right now, he'd be even probably further. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you could transplant that career 5 years later, it'd be crazy to think the numbers that he was doing.
Provic has one of my all-time, regardless of sport, training injuries and like crazy athlete thing. You know what I'm talking about?
The bicep thing?
The biceps.
This is my favorite. I tell this. Please tell it because I love the story.
You might know it. You might know it the best.
Because you told it to me.
Yeah. So again, not
I tell it like it's my own, but I probably
no,
stole it from
no. You no. Go ahead. You can go ahead and take it.
No. Go ahead.
Go and
I mean,
take
it's
it.
a perfect story.
So we're at Westerns. It's my first Westerns. I think this is maybe 09, somewhere in there. Maybe 09, maybe 10. I think 10. And when was your first one?
2012. Me and you did it.
Okay, so this would be 10 for me. Okay.
Let it be known I did Westerns before all of you.
Yeah.
Was it a novice comp?
I don't know.
I don't know how I ended up in it. We did Gimli.
No, this is actually a good story.
After a weekend of partying, and all of a sudden
This
you're
is
like,
actually
Westerns. What
this
the
is
hell?
actually this is actually a good this is actually a good
Participation trophies were a new thing.
no. This is actually a good story. Was that Westerns though? Was
I
it?
found out after. I wasn't even paying attention.
See, that's how hilarious. Well, actually, that should be the topic. Anyways, we'll figure out with Bus's story. And again, I feel like we're stealing it. Brad, if you listen to this, I apologize. I'm probably putting out the gaps that are in this, but they used to train, and I idolized the guys from Saskatchewan. I thought it was the best, like for sure. Like I remember going to watching the Dauphin Lug-A-Link contests and More than Mighty Man and these guys. Like there's one or two guys from Manitoba that would compete. Well, three probably, and the rest of them were all like Sask guys, and they were all just like a really tight knit group. And I was like, these guys are awesome. This is hilarious. So I think it was one other guy. They're worth checking out, the old Scott Cummin videos, just for listening to Brad yell in the background in the camera. Like if you've ever heard them, have you heard them?
No.
Oh, they should be mic'd over your gym, like to get stuff done, like because it's just him screaming at Scott like crazy. So.
I love when he MCs shows because he MCs all the shows out.
Like the camera would be like shaking. He would be screaming like, two more. And anyways, I just thought it was so motivating for sure. Anyways, they trained in the back of this garage. So we go, I think it's 10, like I said, for Westerns. And Brad blows his bicep or like 3/4 of the way on the first event, right? Which opens up, like you said, it opens up guys to win. And this is what, not taking anything away from anybody, because this is the way sports go, right? But like this gives an opportunity now for like John gets into third position and everything else and gets to go to Canadians and blah, blah, blah. So on the arm over arm, Brad blows his bicep, but it's not all the way. So the following, and it was pretty much the Sask X after that. That was like the biggest show for anybody in the West. Biggest, strongest guys going who didn't get to go to Westerns. So I show up and Brad is maybe has surgery, doesn't have surgery, something like that. There's some sort of gap, but I think he never had surgery. So he went to the ortho, and the ortho's like, no, it's like still intact a quarter of the way. You know, whatever. And he's like, oh, okay. So he goes back to this like gym.
From what I remember, they're like, we can't operate until it's fully torn.
Right, exactly.
I have heard the story.
Yeah. And so he starts flipping a tire, and he just keeps going down whatever, how many reps in a row. And he tells me the story. He's like, yeah, I just kept flipping it until it was going to blow. He's like, and then it wouldn't blow. So then I was getting guys to like jump on the tire as I was hanging onto it. And then they were like, do it again, do it again. And you could just hear this in the background until the thing totally blew off.
Fuck me.
And he tells this story to me. He's reffing the Saskax. I'm like getting ready for this show. And it just it was like straight from Apocalypse Now. It was just the horror in my face. Like,
because you're a physio.
This is what has to, not only that, as an athletic therapist, not only that, just like, this is what I'm in for. Like, this is what's going to happen in this sport.
Yeah.
Is this guy's like, yeah, so now it's done. And I don't know if he had the surgery, he had it shortly thereafter, but he told this story, and it would mortify anybody. But you listen to it, you're like, it's the coolest fucking story I've ever heard in my entire life.
See, those kind of stories, and like, though, I mean, if you call that like a method, what he did there or whatever,
right? Like,
that's the kind of shit that I think is kind of being lost, I think, in like between, let's call it your generation to my generation or whatever.
Sure.
Where a lot of like the little tips and tricks, like let's say like the horse rub shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like no one does that or knows about that already. Yeah, and I only know about it because you guys told me about it.
I was at Gord's this weekend. And I pull up there, walk in the shop, and there's a big bottle of it.
Oh, really? Yeah, see?
Yeah.
And Gord's an older dude, so he's been around for a little bit, so he knows. But a lot of those things like that are like, I mean, even like it's like using like a deadlift suit and stuff. Like it's just like there's sort of this gap now where there's just like there's not people who've been taught that because it's such like an old school kind of thing. I think,
right?
It's a tool in a lot of ways, and it's just like there's sort of that gap where like I partially tore my bicep, so I wanted to fix it by tearing it the rest of the way. Like that's just like not something that someone would tell you to do now. You know what I mean? Like, but I fucking love those kind of stories.
Yeah, no, they're great. There's tons of those.
Yeah.
Should we tell your Westerns story?
Sure.
So
I never
again,
knew you went to Westerns.
we're kind of new to the sport. Like so many follies. We were talking about some other old pictures of when we first went to Elite FTS as well and met Jim Wendler for the same time. Like just anyway. So again, just walking into things which I think is missing from today's culture of being like, well, fuck it, I'm going and just open the door and we'll see who yells at us or whatever. Right. So we didn't even sign up for this Gimli contest. It was I think a handful of guys. It's pretty like you look back at the numbers now, like 160-pound log, 180-pound farmers, like super lightweight, right? Like, so we go to this first contest, and we all kind of get the bug after that. Dave competes, I compete, a couple other guys, and like I look back because people took some really good pictures, but like my equipment's all off. I look at it and I'm like, you fucking rookie. Like, what are you wearing? Like, just so stupid, right? You're like, I'm not even wearing things that I'm supposed to. So it's your very first show. Yeah. But you got to jump in and get your feet wet. We basically got signed up on Tuesday, and it was like Saturday you're going. We went to Brent's once, met him, and went to his place on like Wednesday.
Oh, so this is like the
early days.
the earliest.
Wait,
Okay,
like the original chicken barn. Like it was just like, and we were like, we're hooked. Like this is awesome.
Yeah.
So Saturday's contest comes along. I think we went out. We had a barbecue at my house, and Dave's like, so these guys just randomly are like, yeah, there's a competition next week in Altona. And I kind of looked at the weights and was like, oh God, no way. You know what I mean? Like I'm done. Dave, I'm not trying to like slide you. I don't think you placed in the top 5.
Well.
No, I don't think, were you top 5 or top 6 in Gimli?
I was like 8 or 9.
8 or 9th or something like that, right? Yeah. Okay. Like some other guy won, and some other guy got second or whatever there was. Like none of us like won anything. And Dave's
I beat Rob Komet.
Which is where we came up with the scoring system, the Komet heads. Like how many Komet heads does this thing get? But Dave's like, I'm doing this show. Like full on diving first into the shallow end. We were like, all right. And like, yeah, but that's what it took, right? Was just like, he's going into this thing 100%. And yeah, it was heavy. Like it was
it was a hard
Scott
show.
come in. I think there was another guy there that I can't remember his name, but he
Scott's
was a beast.
the one that stands out.
Yeah, he's a beast. like all these guys were just like huge. Some of these guys have been to Canadians, and Dave just jumped into it second show.
That's sick.
And it was like, and we're standing there, and he followed through all the way. But that's like what's kind of missing when you get some of these young guys.
just
Who are
really
like,
made
I'm not
you
quite ready
finish
yet
the
for a
event?
show.
We just
No, that was a different show.
Oh, okay.
Actually, well, you can tell that one too. My medley.
Where they made him go 6 minutes past the time.
why would they do that?
Who was the ref? Who was the? I couldn't remember his name.
The Mad Mennonite, Tyler Hildebrand.
Hildebrand. Yeah, Tyler Hildebrand.
He did CSM too.
Yeah,
he
he
was
did.
the first Manitoban to do CSM.
Yeah. Tyler's reffing, and this painful medley is like I think it's endless time. I thought it was. Or maybe it was like a 2-minute cutoff, which is
Way too long.
lifetime.
Way too
lifetime
long.
in Strongman, right? I'm like, a friend of mine just sent me a list of something that's out in Alberta, and I was like, 130, what? I was like 120 seconds for this thing? Like, it's 2 minutes. So Dave's just having it. I remember he picked up the yoke, and I was videoing from behind, and literally,
the farmers.
But granted, he had just come off MABA.
Right.
He had just come off competing in MABA.
So dehydrated.
He had gone from like 250 pounds of just being an absolute like a walking bowling ball to like on stage in no time.
178 on
178 on
Holy
stage.
shit, really?
Yeah.
That's
Seriously.
crazy.
And then a month and a half later, 2 months later, went to this Strongman show. So hasn't lifted or anything else. It just gets on and it does this. I remember videoing him, and I visually saw his rotator cuff tear, like just pop. It just dropped in there. Like I remember watching his shoulder, and his like the back of his scapula just went like disappeared, like it just vanished. And I was like, oh. So anyways, he kind of thinks like, I think guy's like, okay, time's got to be done.
Yeah.
And Tyler thinks he's doing him a favor after this long drag and this yoke back. And Dave is just dying. And he's got from here to probably that squat rack over there. And Tyler's like, turns the watch off. He's like, just finish it. And the crowd's going crazy. And Dave's like inching this thing and just wants to kill himself.
Holy the anchor. The
anchor drag, yeah.
Which is
That
terrible.
fucking anchor that he has out in the
I hate it.
But there was just no quit. There was no quit and no stop. We just did everything stupid.
Yeah.
And it was hard because we just did so many dumb things that we thought we were doing the right way. And then when young guys would come, especially when they came and they would pay at the gym for something and be like, tell me what to do. And then I'd be like, I'll tell you what not to do. And then they were like, I'm going to fucking do it anyways. And you're like, all right, I'm out.
The assholes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a conversation that I had with somebody recently about like whether we're going to have novice divisions in like the in-season competitions. And I said no, because we have one novice show at the beginning of the year for everyone to get their feet wet. And if you miss that, like, you know, like whatever, tough, that sucks. But like, man, when I did my first novice show, the next month I competed in a show that had Scott come in. And then the next month I competed in a show that had like a young, but Max Boudreau and Rayner and
Dallas Hogan and all those
you know what I'm
guys.
saying? Like, it had all these guys where it was like, and like, let's say Deloli, even like his first or second competition, he competed against Dave Osland, who's a WSM competitor.
Yeah.
Like, and so this notion that you need to have like all this experience and all these things to like do these heavy shows, it's just so misguided.
No.
Like, you just need like I said, I started training with Dom. 4 weeks later, I did my novice show. 4 weeks later, I did the first actual like Prairie Strongest Man, I think it was called, and it was awesome. And I wouldn't change a single thing about that. I wouldn't try to be like, oh, I got to prep for another year before I'm ready for these big shows or whatever. Like, I just really think that guys get too lost in the idea of like, first of all, you're not going to win, so don't worry about it. Like, you're not going to win. Like,
Take your lumps.
Unless you're dumb. Unless you're dumb.
That's what I'm saying, is that like I went into these shows knowing no matter what, Dom's going to beat me, Deloli's probably going to beat me, Big Mike's might beat me. These are all guys in my gym that I knew was going to beat me. Never mind the guys in fucking Saskatchewan who were all awesome too. But it was like, who gives a shit? Like, especially in that beginning stage where everything you do is a PR and everything you do is brand new. It's like, that's enough. Like, you don't got to worry about the standings when everything that you're doing is new to you. Like, it's just, I feel like people get like, they get so lost in this idea of like, well, I might not win. It's like, yeah, but you're a loser, and that's what happens. You know what I mean?
And doing it in competition and actually having to put some of those things together was like that, because this would have been, I think it was my last show that I actually did anything with. It was kind of a little bit of a litmus test for me. And it was kind of like the last show that was heavy enough, which was Motors and Muscles, which Ammo and Deloli did. And they were early. I think they were kind of like maybe 4 or 5 shows under their belts, a couple of years in or whatever. And I was kind of like winding stuff down, but that was like my litmus test, because I had just done Westerns. I don't think you did it. Did you do it all time together?
No, I did it 2012 with you. You and John Wade went.
Okay.
And then I did the whole.
So
remember when you just said you tell your guy not to do that, and he did it. So we came back from Western. I did the bench press. He told me not to. Told
Yeah.
my shoulder, and that ended it.
Which I heard, yeah. Anyways, we'll get to that thing because I heard you comment on that last time. But anyways, but the point was that was a litmus test of like a show where it was like these weights are all like this and the same as what they were in Westerns. This was the best. I won that show was the only one I actually won in my entire career, but I won that one by a large margin, and that would have landed me 12th of like 14 guys.
Right.
Yeah.
When the weights were within and I was just like, there's just what can I do? Like what do I have to do to push this past there? And you're just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Which I'd have a lot of admiration for you for sure, because you've been like, yeah, I am going to push this for sure. But putting those things together that I think a lot of those people should focus on, and I knew it because I showed up the night before, but like Deloli and Amo, and this isn't taking shots at them because they could probably laugh at this at the same time, they would turn around and they would say, are going to show up in Thunder Bay and we're going to be ready for this. And I was like, oh, we'll crush it because they won't know what to do. Like just preparing your meals, getting the sleep. So they drove there, like had McDonald's, like that was their only meal. Then they showed up and I was like, I don't even have to worry about this because you're not ready. You haven't had enough shows where you have traveled and packed all your bag and got all your gear and ready to go.
The out of competition experience.
How many times are you going to get diarrhea before you actually have to get going?
Just stressed out.
Yeah. And so I knew when they showed up, although Deloli was catching up and then beat me in the gym with stuff, I was like, I'll beat him for sure. Right. Because he's going to get here and it's going to be like, now you got to do all 5 of these things in a row.
Yeah. Competing is not the same.
Huge. It's not. And so I think those people should get, and this isn't anything to do with Ryan because he's obviously like world champion, like farmers, which is like awesome to see for sure.
Have you seen him lately? He's a U90 guy now.
Yeah. That's what I said. I think he's going to smash it like with how fast, like he should be so fast for that. It'll be crazy.
I'm looking forward to it.
But all those young guys should just get in and be like, just get your bag ready and get in and do it.
So speaking of getting in, how's that Masters category looking for this year?
Oh, good question.
I know we chatted.
Could be.
We chatted a bit.
Depends when it is. It depends when it is because
So
I have my race lined up.
May 27th, July 1st.
I told you I said I was going to run 10K and do a Strongman in the same.
I haven't ran,
I
haven't ran 10Ks combined in my
No,
life.
not you 90. Well, I guess maybe I am.
So how heavy are you these days? 230, 240?
230, 230, 220.
So Masters lightweight is 220. Masters heavyweight, so it's 221 and up. And the Masters heavyweight weights, you actually probably don't, but Masters heavyweight weights are the same as the U105s, and Masters lightweights are actually the same as U90.
I'll have to see the list.
I got it for you.
Okay.
I even have an interview. I got a place for you to stay.
Where is it?
Tolstoy out by Jan Seed, by my place.
Jan Seed?
30 minutes past my place.
On your 160 acres?
Yeah.
That you got?
Hey, man, I'm
Good
excited
for
to
you.
start building
the
that
compound.
Yeah.
I just started watching
Waco.
that. I just started watching that. Like, fucking.
Yeah. Here
And
it
like,
is.
I'm sitting there with Jan, and I was like, I don't think we're supposed to be cheering for the radical, like armed cultists, but I am. Like,
You've been to my cabin once. Now you're
I'm going with
convinced.
Devin too much.
Yeah.
It was
Obviously.
our screensaver at the gym. People
Yeah, I
would
remember
walk
that,
by and be
yeah.
like, is that Koresh? And you're like, yeah.
The first clip is like that fucking cop taking it in the gut, and I was just like, cool, this is gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
You talked briefly about like outside of show stuff. So did you about outside of show stuff, and having the three of you on here because strongman's a lot different than powerlifting. Eating the day of a show, I think for any of our listeners that are
because
are
people
new,
always have questions about that.
Yeah, how do you guys like breakfast before? What food do you bring?
So you have more experience than you, but I struggled with that my whole life. I never ate properly.
Clearly.
I have IBS clearly, and I was in the washroom like 30. I would be in the washroom till my event, just in the porta potty. Now last year at Manitoba, I took a little different approach. I'm gonna actually try a tactical approach to nutrition for the first time in my life. And I went that show, and what time did we start that show? Was it? It was noon because we after church. Because the fair, because the fair we do.
Oh,
they
the
have,
Bethel one. Yeah, that's
they
right.
Have a
They did
massive
a
church
big-
service, and then we
That's
roll
right,
in, and we
yeah.
got like 40 minutes to set the whole show up and compete. And after
So
church,
the one you won?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just hilarious. But
Everyone's got their
I-
guns like Waco and shit.
I ate my normal breakfast. Like I just had eggs, toast, just my regular breakfast. But what I did different is the whole comp. I thought I actually took pre-workout for the comp because I'm a guy who, with mild narcolepsy, I'm always tired. I took a caffeine pill to walk in here. I was like falling asleep in my truck. Like
That's a long walk for you, though.
dude. That's I parked on the side too, to be respectful.
Yeah.
So it's a long walk. But I didn't even end up taking pre-workout. After the comp, I found my pre-workout shit next to my chair, and I hadn't even took a sip of it. But I just grabbed a big tray of all sorts of different fresh fruits, berries and cantaloupe and watermelon, and I literally just ate that the whole comp and drank a little bit of protein, just hydration. and power weights, and that actually worked the best I've ever had. And I'm not saying that's the ideal, but that actually worked the best at all the years I've done.
I think everyone is different.
Yeah,
and
but
that's
the
why I
fresh
think all
fruit
three of
really
you will-
really helped with the sugars, the fast actor. I found that really well. What did you use?
Yeah, I think everyone's different. Anything that I've ever, for myself, or if I've ever given anything to any other athletes, was to have some consistency prior to. I don't. My biggest takeaways from this are don't do anything, even if it's awesome, that's new the day before.
Yeah.
Like don't add anything. So people will there'll be a great product out there. They'll buy it on Friday, the competition or the run or whatever is Saturday. They'll take it that day and they'll be like, this product's trash. And you're like, well, you don't even know, right? Like, so I think that's what. Number two, I think there would be a little bit more to do. I found guys, it'd be interesting to take a look at their, not to get too technical, but their hormonal profile. So for me personally, I'm a guy that runs better on like high cortisol times. So keeping an empty stomach was always better for me. So these large meals that were okay would just put me to sleep like right away. So I was always very, like I said, small amounts of food and keeping my gut empty. And then I was just super hungry at the end. But if I had too much in my gut,
Did you do any liquid carbs or like Powerades or like that during?
sometimes, yeah, I did would have like Powerades and could drink and could have
just
those
drink.
things. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I needed stuff that was like higher, like in like eggs and things like that. They're higher in fat and protein and whatever, but like smashing like a whole bunch of toast and everything else along those lines, I find is just going to put guys to sleep like right away.
When I was at Westerns, I was sitting. They bought a meal for us at the hotel we were at.
Oh,
And I was sitting there. It was like a buffet, and I sat there and had like a bunch of fruit and
Yeah.
some toast. And I felt like that was when I really set in that I was like, "Fuck, I'm a pussy." Like these guys are looking around them, they're just like smashing
I know.
plates for food. I'm like, "Fuck, I just can't do that."
I know.
Like it's just not. And
yeah.
and then I beat them all, so it doesn't really matter.
No,
but
yeah.
But no, I'm kidding. But it was it was for me, it was never eating a lot.
No, and
I throw up before most shows too.
right, and that was just, that was
Nurse thing.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
Not CSM. That was the first time I didn't do it with CSM, which is interesting because that was like the biggest show I've ever done.
Maybe you
But
should
But you
have.
also went into, you went into that show with no expectations.
I think that's honestly what it
That
was.
was you were just happy
yeah.
with if I get a rep in every event and,
Yeah.
and maybe get a higher place than one, I'm happy.
Even Westerns, I didn't like expect to do as well as I did. So I was like, it was just sort of like pleasant the whole time. It wasn't so much like I gotta fucking stay in my position or whatever. And yeah, CSM was the same thing too, where I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like just being here is cool. Like I don't really, you know what I mean? I didn't feel the same nerves like probably the top 5 guys or whatever did. You know.
You feel like that's okay? Like, how do you feel like going into a show though? Like, you're most like call recently your most successful one, like not CSM, but like winning Westerns or whatever.
Podium Westerns.
Podium. So.
But that one, like I said, that was a weird one because let's say that I was doing Manitoba Strongest Man here this year. I should win that show. Just speaking strictly in terms of just like my numbers and stuff. So if I go into that, like I have to win. So it's like a different feeling than say if I go to CSM where I'm just happy to be here. And I can go into it and I can attack it the same way. Like I still hit PRs. I got a deadlift PR at CSM and all that shit. But it's really just more that I like because I expect more of myself. I get tenser and I can feel it in my gut and I.
Do you feel shitty? Do you feel shitty?
Yeah. I feel bad.
See, and that's what I was getting at. I always would do better when I felt like shit.
Yeah.
So when I was nursing, 3 injuries, nothing's working out, diet is not on point, I feel like I'm going to shit my pants.
Yeah.
I had my best shows.
And
whenever I rolled in, like, yeah, everything's awesome, terrible. Like that one with you, the Westerns I did with you and I was
you
like,
didn't have a good show in there.
oh, it was just, it was awful. And it was,
I always take like a big stress shit and then in the morning and then I usually throw up. And then I'm like pretty much good to go after that.
Yeah.
And then so like I kind of like anticipate that. So in the morning I'll have like orange juice and protein powder.
Yeah.
Like that'll be like my breakfast, whatever. And then I'll usually throw that up, and then but that'll be maybe sometimes like an hour afterwards. So I'll still have time to absorb some of it, and I'll still have some of it in my system, whatever. And then after that, I'll have like another shake that'll usually stay down.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm not a big eater anyway. Like that's always been a big problem for me is eating enough. So the day of, like even after the competition, I'm pretty content to just be like, yeah, I'll have half of a hamburger and then pick up my fries, and then I'm gonna go home and go to bed. Like I just don't feel like I guess because of the whole day just kind of like
Do you
catching up
find
to
you can
whatever.
eat after a comp?
No, that's what I'm saying. I just like I would be
Like everybody after comps always been out after Winkler, everyone went for supper. I can't eat for like 4 or 5 hours after for sure. I don't.
No,
Yeah.
I don't
So
come
just
down
too sick.
until like that
Can't
night
eat-
or whatever.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't eat nothing. Yeah,
But I always want to drink after, and no one ever wants to drink after the competitions anymore.
liquid. Well, I'm just trying to get liquid carbs, then I guess. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
makes sense.
high sugar, rum and coke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then why aren't you indulging in some of my moonshine?
I can. Yeah,
I
sure.
literally brought it.
Oy, oy.
I last time I
I
drank
brought you a
moonshine.
cup, McDole.
I drank the straight.
made this
I
shit.
drank the straight moonshine at Devin's place.
Yeah, no, this is flavor. This
Speaking,
is
speaking of throwing up, I immediately threw up.
Did
as
you?
soon, as soon as I tasted it, I did.
I think I tried that at
That
the
was
barbecue
pure.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
I
the
think that was
barbecue I did.
97% I had there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I puked my guts out last.
I'll
time
say
I tried
that'll. I was gonna say put hair on your nuts, but that'll change the hair from gray to black.
And he's
This
willing
guy.
to inspect.
Yeah, he is. I know. I'm sure he is.
I remember when you used to have a beard that was way better than mine. And I'm assuming
yeah.
I mean, I guess the paramedic thing you have to.
Yeah.
You
It's
have to
key.
shave,
Stay
I
clean.
guess, right?
Yeah, for sure. Nothing bad.
This week, it almost came off. I got pissed off one
Really?
day, and I was just about shaved it off. I'm like, but we have the logo made up with my face in there. It look kind of stupid now.
Yeah, the brand.
You have to keep that forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, so I kept it. I painted it actually on. It's actually still painting it. I was painting at that rental I bought. Got the roller in the face. Well, I guess it's gray now.
There's my chance
Hey,
to jump in
indulge.
there. The blower in the face. Hey,
Cheers. This
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's really
Moses.
good actually.
this one. Which one is
is
this?
my amaretto.
Devin left me out, so I'll just.
Here, no, here.
I'll just watch.
Can't see. You're out of his plane of vision.
go,
That's
son.
why.
Okay, while we're doing that, I have a couple of questions that were on
I think our
Instagram.
producer's losing his marbles over there, Devin.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got chocolate almond for you there.
We got about 10
I'll give
minutes
you a
left in our
chocolate
podcast
almond.
here, so
Yeah.
we'll do some questions.
Yeah, I have a couple that came in too.
First question was, I'll just read it exactly how it's written. Are we ever going to have a finger event or a scout event like they do in WSM?
Oh man, I'll
Devin?
gladly finger
I'll,
somebody.
Devin?
I'll just say I'll finger any strongman in Manitoba that wants
Yeah.
it, and
Why
a
is
squat
that the go-to?
and a squat. Maybe I don't know. Who cares? Squats are
We
boring.
had a squat, a car squat.
yeah.
And Deloli
he's-
fucked
he's-
me on it.
He says like a WSM style squat, which I actually maybe that might
Hold
be
on,
fun.
I know who this is coming from. Then, so they're talking with those big barrels.
Like to the platform, like a strongman
Yeah.
squat.
Yeah, I
whatever.
had somebody ask me
I do like those events.
Because
I'd win that if there was one.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, why don't we do it? I'm like, well, because the apparatus would cost a couple $1,000 to build, and I don't make any money from the shows. So unless someone wants to donate for me to build these damn things,
So fuck you is the answer to that question.
yeah, not right now. When the budget
This one's actually
when the budget balances itself.
when the
Good luck.
budget is balanced for strongman.
$500 entry fee.
That's when you'll see a squat. Yeah, exactly. When we significantly increase the registration.
Yeah.
Okay.
When are you going to
Favorite
spend a lot of your money to let me do things I want to do?
favorite depression / binge food.
Who put that?
Oh, probably the wife. No. no, I meant the food I'm eating.
There's some sad listeners here.
The full question. I'll read the full question. So somebody who obviously does not listen to our podcast because we already talked about some of this, but favorite depression / binge foods, best performance cigarettes, and personal experiences with gear, which we already talked about the gear thing, so we won't touch on that again. None of us smoke, I don't think.
I don't smoke. No.
Performance cigarettes have got to be.
You smoke? You?
No.
Foreskin only?
Of course. Speaking of smoking, if you want to talk about some strongman stuff, I remember one same.
Yeah.
I think. Oh no, it was the same Westerns. I was just watching Scott come and do the entire show with a skull in his mouth,
Oh,
and then opting out of the last event and still beating everybody
Still
by
winning.
35 points. And I'm like
when he
working
told
my
Scott?
tail off. No, this was it was my very first time I ever competed against Scott, and he was just and he just
Perron was
just
just
had a
chain
ripper in.
smoking at CSM.
Yeah, it was just had a ripper
That
in.
was awesome.
no,
Yeah.
I have favorite depression.
I
I just eat ice cream.
When I see JF at the May competition, I'll ask him what the best performance cigarettes are. And the favorite depression binge food, just what I eat every day because
Yeah, it's a sad life, man.
Are you guys sad? Are you guys sad?
Me?
Oh, that's too
People
bad.
don't live in a depressive state.
okay. And actually, there's one more question here that actually that's probably better.
It's too bad. I don't want you guys to be sad.
It says coaching / client red flags.
Oh my god.
So let's go. Why don't we do the client one? So
Do we have enough time here?
What's that?
we have enough time?
We got about 7 minutes to get into the
we
subject
can
here.
we can roll it. You know what?
We can go a little over, but
Gosh,
let's
that
let's
might be more than
why
7 minutes.
don't we start at the head of the table here and we'll move along. What's something that you get in a client that's like an immediate this is not going to fucking work, or this is going to be a real a struggle. Maybe not going to work, but this is going to take more work than the average person.
Well, I learned this from Chris is doing like an interview beforehand, not just letting someone hire me. And you can kind of just gauge by that quickly if there's already scheduling problems. Humming and hawing about price is you're like, this is not a long-term investment for me. Although we've had other people slap their credit card down before you knew their name, and 3 days later they're asking for a refund. Right. So the haggling price isn't always a telltale, but you kind of know what you're getting into bed to if you decide to move forward with that. But
I would say mine is, strangely, is early referrals. And what I mean by that is that you're the best that they've had and you've worked with them for 3 days.
Yeah.
Because that means somebody else that they worked with, probably, generally speaking. Like, I know my limitations. Like, I know that, like, we tried to go through a good process, but there are other good trainers out there, right? So if I got somebody and we would do our regular assessment, start working with somebody, and then within a day or two, they were like, you're the best.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not the best, and then I'm going to invite my friends here. I'd be like, don't do that. Because as fast as they get hot on you, they tend to go cold on you really quickly. But that comes with time. I think what this person's asking for, red flags, is like what Dave is saying, where it's like haggling for pricing, missing schedules. That's you just like taking care of your business. And it's hard early on as a trainer when you need some dollars and cents in your wallet, right? And you got to turn people away or not take the money, or we used to call it getting pigeoned. Like, we would just be like, as soon as they dropped breadcrumbs, we were like, we'll take it, right? And that takes a lot, especially if you've got like some expenses to take care of. But I would say mine for sure is that like I really have a couple of funnels for them to try and get through. You know what I mean? To kind of like see how committed they are to this whole scenario, and then because if they're set on it and they know they're going to purchase and they're going to go for it, I mean, unless it's astronomically out of their deal. And everyone here has got that. If you want to buy something, you're set on it. As long as the price is within a little bit, you're going to buy it. Yeah. They've already bought it before they've shown up at your door. Right?
They purchased it before they contacted
you. You can screw it up.
Yeah.
And they say no, but But I would say early referrals and being hot on you really quickly.
Me, I'd say probably pronouns.
And we stop. I got this right away. I got that. I'm sure you guys have had this like instantaneously. I had to tell a friend of mine. I was like, I can't actually meet you for training today. I have to go and do this podcast like this. And I was like, I'm just waiting for the video to be sent, to like that catchy tune with another white boy with a podcast like that. And I know you guys have already put that up, but I got that sent to me already today, and I was like, there we go. Yeah, here we go. Just the crypto and everything else.
For me, it would be if a client. I mean, I don't advertise my coaching, so I only coach a certain amount of people. But if someone new contacts me, I'll generally go through their social media first and see, because they'll generally post how often they train.
Very liberal government of you.
Yeah. And I'll check to see if they're actually dedicated to training. If they're a guy who trains once a week, or they once every 2 weeks or 2 times a week, and then they tell you they train 5 days a week, I kind of see who, because we're in a small community, people are in contact with me generally from other provinces, so I'll do a little background on them, just talk to some people who know them. Are these guys actually dedicated trainers that actually want to compete? Are they what they say they are in terms of what they're doing, or are they just trying to fill me full of shit? And I'm kind of gullible in a sense sometimes. Like, I kind of believe people on their word, because I go big time on trust, and I'm not a guy who's going to lie to you. So that's my red flags. The pricing too. If someone barters me with price, then I just don't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
I don't charge a ton. Anyways, if you're going to try bartering me down on price. Oh, and the thing is too, if it's not a long-term commitment, you're probably in it. You're in it so many hours in the first month going through their videos and critiquing their form and getting things set up and building their program that you really don't see any returns on your time investment until 3, 4, 5 months in my opinion. I mean, because the amount of hours you put in the first month, you're working for $5 an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after that, it's the long-term commitments where you make your money, because then it's just building a program. You've already told them what to do. You've taught them the techniques you want, and it's just refining it after. That's where you make your money, I find. Yeah.
The price thing is definitely, because frankly, I don't charge like as much as some of the online coaches that do out there. So if you don't like the prices, fuck you. And then the other thing would be a lack of self-awareness is usually a pretty big red flag for me, where I had a client who had never performed any kind of lifting before coming to me. Like this was like a new thing for him. He was not athletic. He had never done any kind of sports. And he said, how realistic is it for me to be a pro strongman someday? And I said, not very realistic. Because it's just that he was like a fully grown adult man who had never done anything, right? So it's like it's not a very realistic goal for you to, or maybe you said go to CSM.
No, it was pro. We've talked about this.
Yeah, okay. So whatever it was and he, to be clear, he was talking about pro as in like going to the Arnolds and like going to like to make a career out of this. And I was like, that was a red flag for me right there. Where I was like, this guy doesn't understand the fundamentals of what this sport is and how hard it is, and like he thinks that this is something that he can walk into and just start doing, and potentially within, I said he's an adult man, so potentially within a couple years he wants to be at a pro level. And that's something to me that stands out as being like, this is a guy who just does not. And don't get me wrong, I took him on as a client and we trained and I got him stronger and got him bigger and did all that stuff, but I had to break the news to him that it's like probably not realistically, but let's just see where we can get you. Let's just like maybe you fucking blow me away and you're the hardest worker in the world and you're a genetic freak and all of a sudden you put on 100 pounds of fucking lean tissue and then you're this amazing athlete. Like great, that could happen, I guess. But that's always a weird one for me where people are like, and also that like they say that phrase where it's like you get the same brain chemical releases from
talking about your
saying
goals.
stuff as doing stuff.
Yep.
The people who are like that personified.
Yeah.
That drives me up the fucking wall. Yeah. And I have talked to some of my guys about this before too, where it's all go on social media. All show on social media and not all go in the gym.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this year, it's my year. I'm doing this. Everybody watch out. And I said, you have no business saying that to anybody because you haven't done anything yet. And you know what I'm saying? So that's always something weird to me where it's the social media aspect is much more important to them than the gym aspect. And I'm not trying to be like this old curmudgeon who's like,
I will.
who's like, stay off social media and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we're here to have fun. And if that's part of the fun for you, then whatever.
Sure.
But live in the real world too and be like, you're not, like, I don't like seeing people do like call outs on.
If you're going to post it, back it up.
And, saying like, just whatever. That's something that I have talked to clients about before in the past. And, but I mean, I don't know. Does red flag mean that you like wouldn't use them, or is it just like this is a sign that something could go wrong?
Keep a heads up.
Yeah, so
something's coming
those are
down
my
the
red
pipe.
flags. Because there's very few things that someone could be like, "Hey, this is something about me," and I'd be like, "Whoa, get the fuck away from me!" Like I wouldn't.
Or that's when you tell them that was my bi-weekly price, not my monthly price.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'm happy now to be in a position where I can stand behind my price, and if people hum and haw, I'm like, okay, thanks, this isn't for you.
Like you're financially at a point in your life now
And
where
you
you
can walk away.
Yeah.
And a number of times those people will turn around and be like, okay, I'll pay.
Yeah.
They're kind of testing how much you value yourself, maybe. It's very Manitoban to try and save a buck. But to be in a position like there's no rent to cover, there's no insurance to cover, you know what I mean? You're
20 years ago when you guys were building the gym, it was different.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, you almost don't have a choice but take these clients on because you need the money just to
That's
pay
the
the
thing.
rent to keep going, right?
Yeah.
Where my coaching, same thing. I do coaching as a hobby. My business, I don't
can tell.
need. Yeah.
Come on, I had to get that in there. When you made the comment that like, oh, McDole gave me a program. Well, he wrote me one workout and then he walked away from it.
That would cut deep, eh? Oh, when I actually made that comment,
I'm
I went
listening.
home. I actually went home and laughed in the mirror about it.
That's right. I chuckled, but yeah, I can tell it's a hobby, Devin.
I want to.
That might be a good endpoint for this episode.
I want to get in on
any specifics. Of
Yeah,
things.
I wanted to get in on. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to run that fast.
All right. So yeah, we reached pretty much the end of the road on this one, I think. So, at Deadlift for Dreams, at Beakley Mobile. Is that it?
Deadliftsfordreams.ca.
Deadliftfordreams.ca. Get signed up for that one. Yep. Coming up really fast. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about was we have a new competition coming up really quickly, the kidney one.
Yeah, Kidney Foundation. That's June 3rd. That was one that just popped up. Me and you both got asked to be guest referees.
Jose Morneau was putting it on.
Yeah,
she's organizing it and putting it together.
Yeah, so it's not sanctioned by us. Not sanctioned by. It's not sanctioned by anybody. I think they're running themselves.
It's very much a beginner competition. So
Yes.
I don't want to see any guys who are doing like go there and support and donate and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's for beginners, and you can look at the numbers and you can
This would be
recognize
similar
that.
to Deadlift for Dream situation. It's for a good cause. A lot of people having kidney problems. So, I mean, it's. I was happy to guest referee.
A lot of people in our circle are having kidney problems.
Weird.
Okay,
Yeah, that
so
was very
yeah, so we have that one coming up on
First
sorry,
farmer's
what-
walk
June
to carry your
3rd.
dialysis
So we got May.
machine.
Yeah, we got May 27th at Tolstoy. June 3rd, we got that. June 10th is the pro-am. We need to get people. We have no one signed up yet.
we got 4 guys who are doing it, so don't worry
Okay,
about
so,
that. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
But we will put that, make that a more.
I got to really get cracking on that.
Yeah, we'll start cracking some skulls for that one.
Yeah.
Do you use social media?
No, not really.
Okay, then fuck you. Don't talk to him. At Strong and Petty, at Manitoba Strongman, at
Devin.penner.
Devin.penner, at Training Grounds Gym.
Yep. Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
At Underground Gun Store.
At Libertarian.
Babes and Bullets.
At your mom's real daddy.
Nico was right.
And then mine's at Iron Age Strength. At Chud Life is my personal one if you felt like it. That's it. Go love yourself.
Go love yourself.
Be a friend, tell a friend.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.